Okay. What is going on, LBHT crew? B. Ferris. What is going on?
Let's go.
Let's go.
You,
Where is
you
it?
know,
Where is it?
I
Ferris wasn't
got
ready.
you. I wasn't ready, but
I'ma need a day off. I think I called Ferris up.
and then let's get mysterious. Let's get mysterious.
Welcome to the show, Ferris.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us.
From the most
Appreciate you talking
unmysterious
us through.
man known to man.
Yes. Shout out to everybody that got here early. Coach was actually here first. I think I saw Coach in here first. He said
I
first.
believe so.
Yes.
Well,
Shout out
we're
to
not
Coach.
Actually, no. It looks like Just Allo was here first.
Just
Oh,
Allo.
Just
No.
Allo. And then Coach
can't
came
go-
in
you-
next with the first.
Oh, okay. Are you looking at the chat box in Ecamm, or are you looking at in
I'm looking. Of course,
YouTube?
I'm
I
looking
think
at Ecamm.
I think I don't know if that's
on
right.
YouTube, it says coaches first.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Man. All right, congratulations, Coach. You won that round. I don't care.
We got Zeke Hokage in the house. Shout out to Zeke
What's going on,
Hokage.
Zeke?
We got a guy Hendo from the Rogue Pod. Salute. Appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us the last 2 weeks, man.
Yes.
And shout out to Dre, Mr. Galloway, for bringing back electric relaxation. Okay, even if it was for a limited time, but they're doing another video.
They are doing another
All right.
video.
So go subscribe to Mr.
Yeah.
Galloway. All right, that's the great times when they do videos. Just Allo in the house, like B said. We got we said just Allo. Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy?
What's going on, Jeremy?
Salute to you guys, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. All right, man. Look, you know what it is. It's the off season. It's slow. It's OTAs. But we're gonna talk about. Yes, you are, Hendo. He said, "Are we?" Yes, you are.
Yeah, you already committed to it on air. And then you tried to weasel out of it off air, and I reminded you that you committed to it on air already, and then you recommitted to it. So yes, you are.
Yes. And Jeremy says,
And
"Happy
Ferris
Wednesday."
gonna
Yes,
be
it
on,
is.
too. I
There
just
you go.
decided that.
I'm gonna be
before
on?
you. Yeah.
But yes, y'all. It is Wednesday.
Another-
Happy Wednesday. Hope your week is going well, but if not, hopefully it gets better starting right now. We are streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So wherever you're watching us, make sure you hit that like button, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening to the audio form of this, because we are on audio form, make sure you hit that 5-star review for your boys. All right, because we're trying to grow out here. Also, patreon.com/LBHT Show if you want to support more. We do an overtime show if you guys don't know. And that, we just go a little bit deeper into some topics that we don't hit on the show. All right. We got the new Madden coming out, got the new college football coming out. All right. Is it going to be worth your time? We're going to discuss it. We're going to see what EA's saying about it. That's what we're discussing on the overtime show. Also, if you want to do super chats, feel free to do so. We also greatly accept our super duper chat. Okay, you can do that by Cash App $LBHT Show, and you get a nice little animation on the screen, which I'm supposed to be taking care of, but I'm not ready yet. B, I didn't set that up. I just remember I was supposed to do it. Okay, whatever.
Incredible.
But I'll be ready. We got donations in here, and people aren't even, they're not getting read because B didn't remind me. It's all good. It's all good.
Wow, it's like that. While you're doing that, I
Nitro.
don't know why. I'm not reading all that Nitro.
Nitro says solo quiero que sepan que
just said we're not
son
reading that.
bastante.
Just said we're not reading that.
Hold on. Oh wait. He's saying what's up with the fellas. That's all he's saying.
I know.
Okay.
But it's just too long.
I know. Hermanos
just
was
like-
brothers.
Yeah.
Congratulations, or I'm sorry that happened to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Right.
while you're getting that ready, we want to take a moment to congratulate Ferris. While it wasn't the exact outcome that he wanted for the New York Knicks, they did in fact fire Tom Thibodeau right after their exit from the Eastern Conference Finals. So congratulations, Ferris.
Thank you.
Ferris, we're going to get into that in our
Appreciate
NBA segment. I want to know how you feel about that. I mean, I see you pumping your fist, so that gives a little
That was
indication.
a
But we're
good
gonna
giveaway.
talk about it. We're definitely gonna talk about it. So
Wow,
yes,
Just Allo.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too. I was like, damn.
Why are they putting raccoons on the cover of Madden? I thought that was just for football players, referring to the Madden 26 cover featuring Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, why you gotta be that? Why you gotta be a raccoon?
A little bit harsh, Just Allo.
I was gonna, he feels strongly about it. What can I say?
Apparently,
he feels strongly about it.
What's going on, Jay?
Salute to Jay, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. But yes, it's a slow time, but we're gonna talk about what we can talk about.
You ain't got no proof. I wasn't in the documentary.
And Freak Nick Ferris.
Freak Nick Ferris.
I wasn't in the documentary. I didn't sign up.
That you know of.
That I know of.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Just Allo. He said he's MAGA. I don't like him. Okay.
What? Is he?
I don't know.
I gotta do my research. I hate hearing this stuff. This. Oh my god. Look, if they're playing for your team, you tend to throw that to the side. But man, I just
like Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah. All right. Look,
what's going
we're gonna discuss it. What's up, Tracy? How you doing? We're going to discuss some OTAs. We're going to discuss some other little news out there. All right. It's slow, but, we're going to discuss it. All right. Because any little bit of football needs to be discussed in the offseason. That's how you get through the offseason. We're going to also talk some NBA finals. And we're going to have a interesting court of public opinion. We actually talked about this. Was it last year? I think we talked about this last year with this same guy. Same topic. Okay. Still whining. We sure did. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we did.
Sure
did. But it was we was whining about something else.
Well, yes. Yeah. Okay, all right. We'll discuss it. All right, all that's coming up in a minute. But first, what's up, DDSQ? We like to start every show with a Black History fact, and B and Akole have a Black History fact for you.
This week on the LBHT Black History Fact, mass incarceration in the United States refers to the rapid expansion of the prison population, particularly affecting black and brown communities, while the prison system had been growing since the 1970s. Incarceration rates surged in the 1980s and 1990s due to the war on drugs, mandatory minimum sentences, and tough-on-crime policies, like the 1994 Crime Bill. The rise in imprisonment did not correspond with a significant increase in violent crime, as crime rates fluctuated independently, with some periods of decline, even as incarceration grew. Instead, the explosion of imprisonment was driven by harsher sentencing laws, over-policing in minority neighborhoods, and financial incentives from private prisons, rather than a genuine uptick in crime. The United States now houses a quarter of the world's prisoners, despite making up only 5% of the global population, making mass incarceration one of the defining civil rights issues of modern times. Addressing this crisis requires comprehensive reforms. Some of the most impactful measures include eliminating mandatory minimum sentences to allow for judicial discretion, decriminalizing certain nonviolent offenses such as low-level drug possession, expanding access to rehabilitation and diversion programs, and ending the use of private prisons, which create financial incentives to maintain high incarceration rates. Additionally, investment in community-based interventions, improved mental health and substance abuse treatment, and police accountability can help prevent unnecessary imprisonment and reduce the overall reliance on incarceration as a solution to social issues.
All right, salute to the Black History Fact. All right, look, we're gonna do a quick pivot here because just Aloe, he brought this to our attention, and so I did a quick Google search. This is coming from Saquon Barkley golfing with Donald Trump, and taking a picture with him at some golfing event, and it had a bunch of MAGA stuff in the background, right? Mm-hmm. So people were like, "Hey, man, 1 + 1 = 2." You know what I'm saying? But Saquon Barkley pretty much responded. It says Philadelphia Eagles star faced significant criticism for hanging out with Trump over the weekend. Okay, it's posted on social media. It's worth noting that Barkley and Trump's hangout occurred a day before the Eagles' scheduled visit to the White House. So he was already in the area to do the White House visit, which I thought the Eagles had initially declined, and then I guess they changed their mind. He responds on social media, LOL, some people are really upset because I played golf and flew to the White House with the president, in all caps. Barkley wrote on the X platform, maybe, aka Twitter, maybe I just respect the office, not a hard concept to understand. Just golf with Obama not too long ago and look forward to finishing my round with Trump. Now you get out of my mentions with all this politics and have an amazing day. Here's the thing. I try not to be as harsh on younger people when it comes to politics. You know what I'm saying? Because Barkley is 26 years old. Mm-hmm. How much time does he spend thinking about politics? They're like, hey, the president wants to, go golfing with you or whatever. All right, fine. But also, man, look, it comes with the territory. You're a public figure. You're in the public. You're on the cover of Madden. Not if you support what he's doing, and you're like, yeah, man, it's the president, I want to take a picture. Or even if you don't support, you just like, hey, I just respect the office, I want to take a picture. Yeah, you defend it. Stand by it. Say, nah, I don't agree with what he says. I just, as a president, did the same thing with Obama. I'll do the same thing with the next
28.
person. Huh?
He's 28.
What'd you say? Yeah,
he's 28.
28. Yeah. So 28 young. DDSQ 28 is so young. 28 is so young. All right. He is young. Not saying he's too young not to understand or not to be politically aware, but I mean, you got people in their 40s not politically aware.
Well, and the fact is that he lives in a different world than you and I live in.
Yes.
That whatever Trump does doesn't necessarily affect him.
Won't affect him. No.
Right. Yeah, he should know, and if you're going to post that stuff online, you should be ready for the response to it. But that's one of the perks of being, rich, being wealthy, being famous. Like he doesn't have to.
Also, too, yeah. This respect the office thing, right? People weren't boycotting the office when George Bush was there. And George Bush, same political party. George Bush, some may say is also a war criminal, but most presidents are. He lied about, Iraq, so that's another bad.
I think some people decline. Did some people decline go to the office? Go to the White House visit?
Jalen Hurts had. He wasn't.
No, I'm talking about under Bush.
I don't remember anybody.
Not really. No, not really. There was never a big story with Bush back in the day. I think the first time a story was written, not a big story, but a story was written, was when the Boston Bruins won their title in hockey, and their goalie Tim Thomas said, "I'm not going to the White House because I don't agree with Obama."
Yeah,
that was the first time I ever saw it happen. First time I ever saw it was when Tim Thomas said, I don't, but like, why don't you agree with Obama? That's other things, Tim Thomas. Which is funny enough because he was one of the only 3 Americans on that Boston Bruins team. Mm-hmm. And he said no. That was the first time I ever heard someone saying no to go to the office. People were going to the office with Reagan was in office. Clinton was in office. Even Jimmy, and most athletes didn't like Jimmy after what he did with 80 when he took us out of the Olympics in 80. A lot of the athletes didn't really like Jimmy like that, but people still went to the office. He's the only president where teams have said, I don't want to go. A lot of teams have. A lot of basketball teams have. Some NFL teams have, not all NFL teams have, because we know the fan base of the NFL and teammates, we know. But he's the first person where it's a story and people have done it and people are okay doing it. He's the first person to do it.
Players boycotted Bush 2 after the war in Iraq and weapons of mass destruction was unpopular. They may have DDSK. I don't remember specifically players coming out and saying they weren't going to the White House.
Green Bay Packers. Who's the Green Bay Packers tight end?
Chimura? You talking about Mark Chimura? Because
I never.
Chimura got some other issues. He needed to worry about.
No, yeah, because I never saw like as a big story. Prior to that, the first big story I saw was Tim Thomas. Because most people, they went to the office, at that point was, I guess, or it's a fourth stringer that we don't care about.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to Nitro for the teaching the people Spanish in the chat. He's saying he loves us. We love you too, Nitro. Appreciate you. But yeah, look, I mean, politics is more in your face now, as it should be. We should be aware of what's going on in our government, and I think the difference now is, yes, I'm not giving him a pass. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving him a pass, but look, man, when the way you view things and the understanding that you have of the world as a young person and as an athlete is skewed, right? Like, you don't have a full understanding of things. Usually you reflect on those things when you get a little bit older, but people are going to criticize you. This president has been more overt with his racism than other presidents. Right? Like, he's been way more overt with it. And what he's doing now, I mean, he's tearing down the government, right? Like, there's like, even if you voted for him, even if you're a conservative, there's really no denying it, right? And let's be real about it, man. Because anytime you talk to a conservative, we're getting political for a minute. Anytime you talk to a conservative, they try to hide their conservatism, right? We had Bobby on this show. He didn't want to admit to it, even though he was posting Trump things all on his timeline. Mm-hmm. He got mad that I called him MAGA Bobby. I'm like, well, that's what you are. You have I didn't get it from your personal Facebook page. I didn't hack your page. That's on your Bobby Baltimore page. Why are you hiding it? And he wouldn't like we had to twist his arm for him to say, yeah, do I lean conservative? Yes. No, yeah, you are conservative. Just say it, right? And they don't want to say it because they know what that represents, right? But Trump, more than anybody, represents that. He's very out with that. How is he racist? Let's see. Doing away with all these with these DEI programs. Calling Puerto Rico a shithole. Saying those white supremacists that had that rally, some of them were good people. Which people were good people?
And that's not
we can go all the way back to
to rent to black people, calling black people lazy, saying he didn't want them handling his money. We
can go all the way back to Central Park 5, the Central Park 5, who were all exonerated. He said they should get the death penalty.
One of them dead. Yeah, he wanted them dead. So people in Atlantic City, man, they've known this for years. They said, bro, when we would go to Trump casinos in Atlantic City, he had the security target the black people within the casino, and and watch them. Why black people in your casino? You know what I mean? Like, there's everyone else in your casino. You know what I mean? So, it is. He banned people from certain countries. The Muslim ban, he banned them. You know what I mean? He wrote them down and said, these are not these countries. They were all African countries and 2 Middle Eastern countries. One of them being mine, which, so it's whatever. Central Park 5 was not being racist.
He was being racist, and also out of all the things we just listed, that's the only thing you can come back with. I think we proved our point.
He took out a full page ad, Jose. He took a full page ad in a New York newspaper saying, "I want them dead. They did it. Kill them. I want them to get the death penalty. And then years later, it's like, oh yeah, they didn't do it. And it's like, okay.
And he wouldn't walk it back. He didn't take it back.
Still to this day.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yes, he
go watch,
COVID the Chinese virus.
Ollie, go watch When They See Us, man. You'll know everything, dog.
And just look at who he surrounds himself with. Elon Musk is a huge supporter of apartheid.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Stephen Miller, his head aide, Stephen Miller. The crazy thing about him is his uncle said, "Hey, if my nephew was in charge of immigration back when our family immigrated to America, back in like the 20s, in the 40s, he wouldn't have allowed his ancestors into this country, and they would have died in Germany." Yep. Your own uncle said that to you, calling you a racist.
So let's not mince words about it. If you support him, you support him, but you know exactly what he's about. Let's not play ignorant. You know exactly what he's about. But Saquon Barkley should know this stuff too, right? And look, this is the world that we live in, man. Like he comes from the social media age. If you're hanging out with certain people, they're going to react one way or another, and you need to defend your position, right? Mm-hmm. Or don't say anything at all, right? Exactly. Just let people talk. Like, hey, man, I don't really care what they say, man. I'm not even going to address it, right? You can do that too, but I guess he did address it,
Ravens' connection to this topic: 2013, Matt Burke declined a White House visit.
Yes, he did.
Know that.
I remember that.
No. Shit, Matt Burke.
Yeah. Your politics are your politics, And look, like I said, I don't really have a problem with his response. I mean, it's kind of a non-committal. I just wish, if you feel one way or another, you just say that. Don't be like, oh well, I also go with Obama, right? But people want to know. They're going to ask. They see you with Trump, with everything that's going on right now, and they want to know, are you MAGA, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But people are going to speculate. That's what it means to be a star. Yeah.
Well, and if you don't, want to answer, people are going to assume the answer is yes, because nobody's ashamed to say, I don't support Donald Trump. The only people who are afraid or against answering that question are people who do and don't want any kind of backlash about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's right. It's like you mentioned about Bobby. I don't want to pile on Bobby here, but like when he said, "Oh, we were putting out misinformation by calling him MAGA Bobby," and like, well, do you support Trump? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. Well, but you called it misinformation. If you called it misinformation, that means you don't, right? Otherwise, it's just information.
Information.
You just don't want to, but you just don't want to say it.
Yeah.
What you meant to say is,
I don't appreciate you calling me out like that.
Summit.
That's what you meant to say. Yeah.
Another summit up in here. That
Big
friend
Red,
of yours again. He was on there again.
Yeah. Big Red says, I gotta be honest, I don't care what Trump says or does as long as the country moves in a positive direction. Well, I got some news for you, Big Red.
It's not.
It's not.
It's
what is
funny.
the opposite of positive?
It's funny that
we're going in that direction.
When you have a racist in charge, that things don't go in a positive manner.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, yeah. It's not.
Nah, bro. You know how I know they're racist, bro? They banned a book about Hank Aaron. And they said, oh, it's too offensive and DEI, and that's not okay. It's about Hank Aaron. You know what I mean? Because they want to erase history. So.
In terms of how it's going for a country, man, like it's so much worse than just the racism. It's so much more than just the racism. Like you even had some white supremacists like, I don't know about this. He's rolling out mass surveillance with
Palantir.
With Palantir.
Brett says, I don't get into politics enough, but I'm just glad he ain't on Diddy's list. Got some bad news for you as well, Brett. He was on Epstein's list.
Yeah.
Right. That's the white
which is a bigger list.
Yeah.
You know why we didn't see that list? For weeks, Republicans were like, "We release the list, release the list, release the list." And I guarantee you, they saw the list and they saw a bunch of their colleagues on that list.
And
no,
the list came out, it said redacted.
Yeah, and they saw that a certain senator or a certain somebody that they were close to was on their list, and they're like, you know what? Let's put this list back in the cupboard.
Listen, if you support Trump in any way, well, whatever, that's whatever. But just for your own sanity, to save your own sanity, don't say, well, at least he didn't, because he didn't. All right, don't say, well, at least he didn't, fill in the blank. Don't do that, because he did it.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. So my friend, she works with in the healthcare field. Because of their, we got to ban, DEI and male, and only say male and female and all that stuff. She can't properly, document people because there are certain words they're not allowed to do federally. Those words are banned. Woman is banned. She couldn't. She was like, we can't even say that, bro. We can't.
Well, it was always male and female. If you're talking about like birth certificate, stuff like that, it never said like boy or girl.
No, I'm talking about,
it was always male and female.
I'm talking about like, they're taking, I don't know. I think I misremember what she said. Maybe I think she said woman, probably. I don't know but like there are certain words she couldn't use, and like organizing and making sure people get the right medications and helping them with their health situations. They're like something like, I don't remember. This is another stupid thing, bro.
We'll say something. We'll save this for the overtime show. But as you guys know, we don't shy away from the politics. What's up, Danity? Appreciate you coming through. She said, supporting Trump and saying the Central Park situation is not racist are two different things. Please don't be delusional about racism in the chat. Thank you. Facts. We know what dog whistles are, right? Which he's not even dog whistling anymore. He's whistling with two fingers, just whistling, right? He's just whistling.
this is also a thing that I don't get with Trump supporters. Trump has said stuff about his own daughter that we should all be grossed out about. Absolutely. But people don't really seem to want to talk about that. Or when he talked about the fact that he intentionally walked in on underage women while they were changing before it was the Miss Universe pageant or Miss America pageant, one of them.
Yeah.
Just, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's a disgusting person. Yeah. Does Saquon Barkley rock with him? Don't know. He didn't really. He was real non-committal about it. But
I'll see about that.
This is like, you put yourself in that situation, dog. Like you this is the world that you live in. All right, you can't shy away from it, and it ain't gonna be the last time somebody's gonna question you about it. So just be ready for
Especially after your girl was out there using the N-word.
No.
Yeah, his wife.
That was earlier in his career that came out, and oh well.
Hey man, didn't someone tell me like his dad was like a part of like a pro-black movement? Like he was like when he was in Brooklyn and he lived, and people were like, how are you like a son of that guy, and you're like this, and someone started talking about how like when Trump during the Trump thing, I think they basically called his dad a bad father in a sense. They're like, how did you raise this guy? Like, how did you become this guy out of that? Like, I don't know.
Wait, did she call him the N-word in like a Shannon Sharp type of?
No.
Was it like a Shannon Sharp put a big black baby?
No, it was
type of thing.
No, it was kind of like a Josh Allen back in high school type thing, where she's tweeting it. It's like like Josh and and Dante, after Dante had that 30-point game in the national title game where they saw he said the N-word and the F word. Same thing with Josh, shout out to my N-words, and that's the same way. But people were like, she was young, she was in college, I think, or high school. And then that's the thing, like, is she allowed to change or stuff like that?
Yeah, she's allowed to change. She may not be racist at all. All I'm saying is you get scrutinized when you're a star player, you're a celebrity, or things like that. And these aren't good looks. Yeah. All right?
Yeah.
They're not good looks. All right. OTAs, man. We spent more
Just
time about
Alo's
this.
fault, man. It's just Alo's fault, man.
But this is what I love about Just. First of all, Just Aloe, man, we appreciate you because you've been one of our early supporters. Just Aloe always be bringing up like the most interesting topics.
So you said this combo is a long way from round Pop Tarts and almond
smash.
smash.
Mr. Chesapeake.
Mr. Chesapeake.
Captain Chesapeake, sorry. He didn't
Captain
put it all
Chesapeake, I apologize.
for you to disrespect him like that.
Sorry about that. You know what, man? I'm still mad at Just Aloe, man. How you gonna roll up to me, shake my hand, say I'm Just Aloe, then walk away? I'm still mad about that, man. I won't forgive you, man. I'm still mad.
You know, if there's one thing, like Just Aloe is a principled man, right? He's a wise man. But you know, the one thing above all is he getting to bed on time.
There you go. You'll be at 8:30.
And he knows if he started a conversation with Ferris, he wasn't making it to bed on time.
He came to the meet and greet. He introduced himself to everybody, and by 8 o'clock, he was
out. He was out. He was like, peace. I'm in bed by 8:30. I'm asleep by 9.
All right, look, there's not a lot to talk about. If you want a in-depth breakdown of OTAs, there's only one place you should be going to, and that's Sip to Tally Films. Okay, that's Coach Evans. He's going to break down everything. You don't need to go and look anywhere else. Coach has you covered. He's going to break down everything. We're going to give you just some sports talk gibberish over here, okay? But it's going to be fun. So okay, I did want to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. That was one of the things because Tom Monken talked about him, and he said, and Coach brought this up on his channel as well. But Tom Monken said they don't look at Hopkins as the third wide receiver. They look at it as, hey, we have 3 starters in Zay, Hopkins, and Bateman, right? And Coach is like, for Hopkins, yes, like, that's fair. That's a fair analysis, because yeah, man, like, you don't know if he's going to be third. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just assume he's going to be the third wide receiver, but Bateman has played good football for 1 year. Hopkins, he got traded midseason to Kansas City. Then he didn't play the whole year there.
Yeah.
What if he still has a little bit left in the tank and he's still just better than Bateman? He's not the number 2. He's number 1. He's the number 2.
I'll tell you what. Then they would have kept him in Kansas City.
Okay, but this is the thing. I agree, B. But this is the thing that happens with the Ravens. Sometimes they get lucky, and Ravens fans are like, oh, yep, EDC did it again. Sometimes we get players that aren't quite done. They're not quite done. They have just a little bit left in the tank.
Like Kyle Van Noy?
Like Kyle Van Noy.
Kyle Van Noy,
right? And
it's kind of an indictment on Bateman then.
Yes, but it's a combination. It's a combination of things, right? You have a guy that's not quite done, and you have a guy that's not
never hit.
Good. I'm not saying Bateman's not that good. I'm just saying, like
never hit his
this
potential.
Point, he's been under. Yes, yeah,
didn't hit his potential as he first round pick. I think pick 27. I believe towards the back end, which is most of you guys' picks anyway. You guys haven't picked the top 10.
He was picked a little. Owe was picked 27th, I believe.
Yeah, he was a couple
20
before that.
20.
He was picked
22 picks before, like 24, 25, somewhere in there. But
okay, but most Ravens picks are in the late 20s.
Yes,
because you guys haven't picked in the top 15 or top 10 in like what 20 some odd years or something. Yeah, a couple of years. But yeah, so like yeah. So like pick 27. He was in that draft. I think he was the second or third best receiver in that draft. It's an indictment on him if a 35-year-old DeAndre Hopkins coming from, basically dying in Tennessee, given an injection of life in Kansas City for a bit, and, there's a joke around the NFL when they say receivers are washed when they're wearing these 2 jerseys, Tennessee and Baltimore. Which is incorrect because, Anquan Bolden exists, but that's a story for a different day. But if you can't beat out DeAndre Hopkins, he wasn't having a good year in Tennessee, So that's why Tennessee was like, we'll get rid of him because, we're trying to tank here, which is good. So you're expecting DeAndre Hopkins from 2 years ago. And, I don't know. Yeah. But if he takes a job and you guys win.
He's about like the 6th best wide receiver in that class.
What class was that?
Like, that was the Jamar Chase and the other two
Smith
classes.
From
Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and then after Rashad Bateman. There were a couple other guys, but a couple other guys before him. You had Kadarius Toney, then you had Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, but then you had later on Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown in that class.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he was the 4th receiver in that draft picked. He's like the 6th or 7th best receiver.
He was the 5th receiver picked because Kadarius was before him. Yeah, he was the 5th receiver picked in that class.
Okay. Well, he's better than Kadarius. That's a fact. Yeah. All right, I can agree. We can all agree on that one. Yeah, because you had
Kadarius Toney. I don't know.
You know what? Adam Morrison got 2 rings, Brodny. You know what I mean?
And Adam Morrison has also a commercial where he said he gonna make you cry, and then he did, right? So
you know what? He didn't make me cry. The Knicks made me cry. I didn't need Adam Morrison to do that.
But I think that Bateman is a good player. He played well last year. I think he's going to play better this year. And I think DeAndre Hopkins isn't completely washed. He's just not DeAndre Hopkins anymore. But in terms of being the number 3 receiver in Baltimore, I think he's a pretty, a pretty good upgrade over Nelson Aguilar. The question is whether or not they're going to use 3 wide receivers because they didn't last year. Nelson Aguilar had, I believe, it was 14 catches. They have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They like to run 2 tight ends, like to run 3 tight ends. Question is, how much is DeAndre Hopkins even going to be on the field in order to try to affect the offense in a positive way? Or are we only going to see him when Baltimore's losing and they get into kind of desperation mode?
Do it, Cam. Cam says about trading a mid-round pick for do it. You want a 3rd, you want a 4th.
For what?
He says for Tyreek Hill.
Do it. So you said there was a rumor from Bleacher Report. Listen, if that's true, it should have already been done.
Yeah.
You can no longer pretend it. Like, it was never true in Baltimore, but you can no longer pretend that you care at all about off-field incidents. So go get Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. There are 2 things. So it's always 2 things that make the Ravens organization uninterested. One is they don't want to pay a player a lot of money.
Which is number 1.
That's number 1. Yes. And 2, they Harbaugh can't handle strong personalities. Right? So if a person looks like he's gonna be a strong personality, they don't want to have anything to do with it. And to me that's just a sign of a weak leader.
Mm-hmm. No, it is because they allowed Justin Tucker to do all his stuff off the field, but he isn't a strong personality. He didn't rock the boat. He just did his BS, his creepiness off the field. Tyreek Hill is very open with his craziness, and he's all up in it. You know what I mean? The man got 12 kids with 8 different women. He almost killed someone when he chucked a couch over. No, that was Antonio Brown. Sorry. My bad. I was getting mixed up.
Putting cases on him. Nitro says he would trade the entire wide receiver room for Tyreek Hill. I would too, even if it was only for 2 years. I would trade him.
Yeah, right? You're right, Jose. He's a weak leader. He is soft, and I go to this too. Every single year I go to this when we talk about John Harbaugh, and the fans are like, we can't fire him. If Philadelphia told Andy Reid, pack your bags, fat man, and dip, you can tell John Harbaugh to kick rocks.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid is a better coach than him, got a second job, created a new dynasty. And can we all agree that Andy Reid is a better coach, has always been a better coach than him?
That's Philly, that's not even up for debate. Yeah.
It's not even up for debate. Philly told him to get out and, take a Philly cheesesteak with you. But the Ravens can't tell John Harbaugh you're fired? He's not, he's Tom Thibodeau. He's not maximizing the Super Bowl window. You guys have a Super Bowl window with Lamar Jackson. He's not maximizing it. You need to fire him. People are like, oh, but what
that's
coach?
Not necessarily on him. That would be on Eric DeCosta. That's his job. Okay. But they both need to be fired.
Yeah. In part, right? Yeah, because again, Eric DeCosta definitely not doing his job. He can go too, but he can make the argument. I told you this. He should be making an argument of, hey, it's not my picks. It's the coach not developing my picks, because it's not just Eric DeCosta that's evaluating these players. Ozzy's still in the building. That might be part of the problem too. Might be Ozzy. His time might have come and gone.
Yeah, but he was done before he stepped down. Ozzy was.
Yeah, he went out with the bang because he drafted Lamar. And,
he did.
But
he was done.
Him. But yeah, he drafted Lamar, but he also drafted Hayden Hurst before Lamar. So but
was that was Ozzy?
Yeah, it was
Ozzy.
EDC.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that was Ozzy. But he should be saying, hey, Steve Bisciotti, this coach ain't working out. Because there were rumors around here. There were talks in the area that EDC wasn't really high on John Harbaugh. And the assumption was when he got the job, because he had been the GM in waiting for years, the assumption was when he got the job, Harbaugh would be out. And it looked like that was going to happen until Lamar became the starter. Mm-hmm. But now, we're 6 years later, he needs to be having a conversation with Steve and say, hey man, this has to be the last year. Okay, like we keep coming close and things aren't working out. Something that has to be a change. Any team that's serious about winning makes these changes. A coach only has but so many shots when you have your window. They only have but so many shots to win a title before they have to make a change. Mm-hmm. Right.
And a couple of people in the chat pointed out that Philly ended up winning 2 Super Bowls after. Exactly. They fired Andy Reid and then they won 2 Super Bowls after with two different coaches. And made another Super Bowl with I hate Nick Sirianni. I hate the guy.
I think if they didn't get to the Super Bowl this year, he'd have been fired.
Exactly. But he found a way to go and he found a way to win it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He hired Vic Fangio. He lost both of his assistants. He hired assistants. It didn't work. And guess what happened? He fired those assistants. He works with Howie Roseman. And they replaced Sean Desai with Vic Fangio. And I don't know who their offensive coordinator was after Shane Stackman, but it didn't matter. Then they hired Kellen Moore because he was like, we're going to win a Super Bowl. Howie was like, we're going to win a Super Bowl. And Howie and the head coach agree. They are in lockstep. You think Nick Sirianni wanted to fire Sean Desai, someone he's been working with for 15 years, he calls a close friend? No, but he did it because Howie said, we got to do it because Vic is out there and Vic's better. And Nick was like, sure. And guess what? He has a Super Bowl to his name. They fired Andy Reid, got 2 Super Bowls with 2 different people. And the only reason Doug Peterson got fired wasn't because of he was a bad coach. It's because he didn't want to fire a certain person. And Howie Roseman was like, okay, if you're not going to fire him, I'm going to fire you. And Doug was like, sure, fire me. He's like, okay, you're fired. Like I'm the boss here. And that's what they did. And EDC, where's the cojones, man? Go to Steve Bisciotti. He's like, I want him gone.
Because
I want him gone.
You can try to make the argument if you're EDC that, hey, I'm making good picks. The coaching staff is to blame here, but that argument can only last for so long. It's been 8 years. If you know that they're not developing guys, stop stockpiling draft picks and go out and spend some goddamn money and get some real talent in there.
Oh no, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree. In fact, and this is going to tie into the next topic here, right? We got a new kicker. What's his name? Tyler Loop.
No, he's kicker.
Tyler Loop. Well, he's not just a kicker.
Baltimore,
kicker's everything. So, look, it's only OTAs. We haven't actually seen him kick. But can he be the next Justin Tucker, right? Because, and yes, in the grand scheme of things, he's just a kicker and you don't put that much stock in kickers. But if you're the Ravens and the way John Harbaugh coaches, he's always coached for field goals. He's always coached to get into field goal range, especially late in the game. He's not really trying to score a touchdown. It's just, hey, we get within 60 yards, we can send our kicker out there. Mm-hmm. If Tyler Loop isn't the next Justin Tucker, that's a problem for this team. I gotta remind you, we didn't invest in the offense. Okay, we said we can go out there and run the ball with Derrick Henry, with no blockers, and we're gonna play really hard defense. So that means kicking needs to be on point. Do you guys have faith in Tyler Loop?
Look, no, he's not the next Justin Tucker. And I say that confidently without ever seeing him kick, without knowing his college stats. Justin Tucker was the greatest kicker of all time. There is zero reason to think that they would hit on the next greatest kicker of all time with the very next guy they sign. So, no, he's not going to be Justin Tucker.
Well, also, too, sometimes being a great kicker in college doesn't really mean anything in the NFL.
And he wasn't a great kicker in college either.
Yeah. If Roberto Aguayo wasn't a slam dunk kicker pick when he's literally the greatest kicker in college history, then Tyler Loop. Okay.
Josiah says, I think Tyler Loop
80% his last 2 years in college for field goals.
Yeah, Josiah says Tyler Loop is going to show us just how great Tucker really was. What he did wasn't easy. Having said that, cutting Tucker was the right thing to do. Yeah, absolutely. We got sport, but here's the thing, man. That's an ongoing theme with this whole team, and this is why me and B from the beginning said defund the defense, get away from that, because we are trying to find the next Ed Reed. There is no other Ed Reed. There's only one. There's only ever going to be one Ed Reed.
There is no. His name was Sean Taylor, and he is no longer.
Yeah, but then yeah.
He wasn't Ed Reed either.
Listen, he wasn't the same player as Ed Reed, but he was as good of a player as Ed Reed in his way. And you're just not going to find that, man. That I'm sorry, I don't want me to
that 2001 team. That 2001 team.
No, but the clip of Ed Reed's highlights that NFL put out, it's like 20 minutes long, and it's all touchdowns. Like it's unbelievable.
Yes.
And the one against the Jets when Herm Edwards is yelling at Lamont Jordan because they ran a halfback option. He rolled out and he was going to throw it. And a lot of NFL players will throw it. They'll tell you if you call a play where the running back or a wide receiver gets to throw the ball, they're throwing the ball regardless. And he's yelling at Lamont Jordan, "Don't throw it. Ed's back there. Don't throw it, Lamont. Ed." And he throws it right to Ed Reed. Ed Reed comes out from like 8 yards deep in the end zone, and Brian Billick is yelling, "No, Ed. No, Ed." And then he breaks
the 107?
30 or 40, and he's like, "Go, Ed. Go, Ed."
Yeah.
And he scored.
Was this the 107,
No,
the longest?
no.
Okay.
It was
So every,
close to
I think, has
107, but it wasn't.
every, I think, has had like
he
three.
holds the longest interception return of all time.
He does. That was
107, right?
That was either. So every has had like 3 or 4 pick sixes for over 100 yards. Yeah. I think it's either the Eagles one or the Browns one. Both of those were deep in the end zone when he returned them. But the point is, Ed Reed, and I sent B that highlight clip. You go back and watch. Ed Reed. He didn't just turn the ball over. All his interceptions, he's already going 60 miles per hour the other way, right? Like he saw the play well before the quarterback's even going to throw the ball, and he's committing, and he break on it, and he intercepts the ball, and he's already running too fast for anybody in the offense to tackle, right? Even when they're able to tackle him, he had enough wherewithal to lateral back to the other safety, right? He was always thinking about turning the ball over and scoring. We don't have
not just turning it over,
scoring
and scoring.
No, my favorite Ed Reed story is he tells it.
And that's just interceptions. I'm sorry, that's just interceptions. Fumble returns for touchdowns, block kicks for touchdowns, things like that.
He had a punt return or a kick return also.
Yeah, he's number 1 in interception returns.
Yeah.
Isn't he also number 1 in fumble returns for touchdowns as well?
Probably.
Or is he top 5? My favorite story is during the 100. I think it was Bill Belichick and Peyton Manning were there talking about Ed Reed. and Tom Brady, the three guys he tortured for his entire career. And Peyton Manning told the story how like he watched a tape of him messing up a coverage. It's like, oh, I think we got Ed Reed. I think we got him because he messed up this coverage. And I think he messed it up. And then Ed was like, yeah, that's funny, Peyton. I did that on purpose because I knew you would be watching, and I got your ass in week 10. I don't know how honest that is. I'm gonna take Ed Reed at his word. Ed Reed literally admits like, I messed up on purpose because I knew you would see it, and then I knew you would think I was gonna be there, and then I would break on the ball and I got you, and it worked because Peyton said, I thought you were gonna do what I thought you were gonna do because I saw it on tape, and then you didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me, and Ed Reed basically told him like, yeah, I did that on purpose because to mess with you and Tom Brady, because I knew I had to outwit you two. It's over. We win. Yeah. And guess what? Who was the thorn in Brady and Peyton Manning's side for their entire career? Besides them each other, it was always the Baltimore Ravens. Always the Baltimore Ravens.
And you can't, but the point is, you can't expect any of these guys to be that. You can't expect any of these guys to be Ray Lewis. I don't expect any of these guys to be Haloti Ngata on the D line, right? Like you're talking about, I don't expect these guys to be Suggs. You're talking about some of the greatest of all time. You're talking about future Hall of Famers. Some are already Hall of Famers, some are future Hall of Famers. Like you're trying to replicate that with low draft picks. You're trying to replicate that with second round draft picks and guys that you traded and getting off the street. You're not replicating that defense that way. If you want that kind of defense, you have to move higher up in the draft. You have to make trades. You have to sign them, spend money in free agency because we're too good of a team now. Back then, we weren't a good team. So they're all, they could pick high and get those guys. Can't do that now. Right. And if you're thinking, and it's a different NFL as well. We didn't have a Lamar Jackson back then. There've never been a Lamar Jackson in this this franchise.
If they want to,
hey man,
look
Troy
like
Smith.
Those teams again, yeah. If they want to look like those teams again, because you're never going to have that defense again. That's not the way the league is now. But if you want to kind of replicate that in the modern era, you need to take a lesson from Ed Reed and be aggressive. Ed Reed wasn't out there trying to force a punt. Ed Reed said, I'm going to take the ball from you every chance I get. And when I get my hands on the ball, I'm not giving it to the offense. I'm scoring with it. He was like that in Miami. He was like that in Baltimore. And the Ravens now, they're like, listen, hey, we're going to run it 3 times. If we get that 10 yards, cool. If we don't, we're going to punt it, and we're going to play that bend but don't break defense. And if it breaks, oh well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
that's not giving an offense. That's not giving the team a chance.
Most of the defenses that have been in the Super Bowl they're always top 5 in turnovers. Mm-hmm. They're always getting turnovers. That was literally Kansas City's MO. We need to get turnovers. Guess what happened last year? Who was in top 5? I think Philly was in either they led the league in turnovers or they were top 5 in turnovers. That's what Philly was in their defense. It was turnovers and sacks. That's what it was. That's the name of the game, turnovers and sacks. That's what you need to do. And that's what Ed Reed did. He turned it over and he scored. The word generational is thrown around a lot. But Ed Reed and Ray Lewis are truly generational because we haven't seen them. It hasn't been a generation. Well, we got a couple more. Oh. Are we talking 59 in Carolina? Is that what we're talking about?
59 in Carolina.
What about 59 in Carolina? 59 in Carolina was yeah, I know you're talking. Hey man, 59 in Carolina. I was a big fan of 59 in Carolina.
Yes.
But okay, Ed Reed, there hasn't been a safety like him.
I'm still here. I'm just in my camera.
In years. We still haven't seen him. Ever.
There's never.
We have 10 more years maybe. You know what I mean? Hey, man, 59 in Carolina, man. He was a bad man, but jam, man, at 59 in Carolina. Being the best linebacker in the league, literally as week 1 of your rookie season, and at the end of your rookie season, everyone's like, yeah, that guy's the best. Yeah. There's some people in Seattle, Brodny, that may disagree. They think Bobby
they're wrong. That's okay. Cool though, man. You gotta stand up for your guy, but you're wrong. It's this guy right here. Like Jay says,
I don't understand. I was giving the Ravens a compliment decides to be he accuses us of being haters, Brodny, and then he does some shit like that.
Who accuses us of being haters?
Like a rogue pod. He'd be like, "Oh, Brodny and Ferris are big haters," and we're complimenting the Ravens for drafting generational talent. This is what he does to me. I was being complimentary. This is what he does. This is why he. That's
the whole point is
his hair.
The whole point is. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why my pictures pop like that.
It's because he hasn't had any protein.
Yeah. Go eat his steamed grass.
Anyway, the point is, you're trying to replicate something that you can't replicate instead of just adjusting to today's NFL. So that's the problem with them. Real quick, we want to talk some Panthers. Any free agent predictions or possible free agent moves? Because this is their real free agency that they love to do. They love to go and pick up who's left on the market and who doesn't really have a shot of signing anywhere else, so they can sign them for the bare minimum. Is anybody out there that you think they could pick up?
I need to see the list. I don't really know.
The answer is nah.
No. Funny enough, Jose, when you talk about defund the defense, you know who's taking your words to like being their motto for life? Cincinnati. They're like, screw defense. Yeah. Screw them. So you know what? Screw the guy that we drafted to replace the guy we're screwing over. Because we're not going to give him the money either.
I don't even think they're doing that. People assume that because the defense wasn't good last year. And they didn't. I can't remember who they drafted. But,
Shamar Stewart.
I don't. Okay, well, there you go. So they
drafted Shamar Stewart to replace Trey Hendrickson, and
who they're not. And they're saying that they're trying to keep him.
And Shamar Stewart still hasn't played at all in OTAs or rookie minicamp because there's language in the contract that they don't like. Shamar's team doesn't, but Cincinnati wants to do it. But it's stuff teams no longer do. But Cincinnati is Richport, where like they don't got the money like Denver or Seattle or Dave Tepper. This is their only business. The Browns, Mike Brown, and
but they'll get that worked out. But the point is, they're spending the money on what they expect them to win games, which is their offense, their quarterback, and their wide receivers, right? And they've made some investments on the offensive line, hasn't quite paid off yet, but we'll see. And the defense, they say, hey, that's what we'll draft. We'll draft and develop there on that side. We already got Trey Hendrickson is good. Stewart should be good. So we got some help there, and we'll build up that side. But we're not going to spend all of our money on that side because realistically, in today's NFL, that's not what wins, right? You can do both now. Huh?
The chat saying Brandon Sheriff and Matthew Judon.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh.
No, so that's what they're talking about for the Ravens. Yeah, I'm getting to that. Yes, Nitro says Judon. That's somebody that the Ravens could get. Brandon Sheriff, who I don't know, man. Like, I don't think he's good anymore.
Which one are you getting?
But,
yeah, exactly. You don't know what you're gonna get with him. Are you gonna get Jacksonville Sheriff or Washington Sheriff?
The problem is, look who we have starting right now. Look who we have penciled in starting right now.
Yeah,
but the thing, and I know that we don't always put a lot of stock in PFF, right? If you look at Brandon Sheriff's grades last year, his pass blocking grade was actually pretty good. He was in the top 20 in guards in pass blocking. The reason that he's not going to get signed in Baltimore is he was ranked, and they don't give a good goddamn about protecting Lamar Jackson. You better open up some holes for Derek and Justice and Lamar.
Yeah, and we don't know if Voorhees is going to be able to do that. Look, he's on a team. He's projected to start right now, so I hope he can do it. But I don't have a lot of faith, man. I'm just going to be real with you. I don't have a lot of faith. I just don't like how this team is moving. They haven't done a good enough job offense for me to say, oh, they got it right. Even though there's some articles out there that say like they have like the most, or league or better built teams in the league. That's BS. That's a bunch of BS. There are teams out here where they lose their quarterback, they're still competing for the playoffs.
Yeah.
We lose our quarterback, we have absolutely no shot. There's no way we're getting to the playoffs with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
I remember 2 years ago when Joe Burrow got hurt. Cincinnati was still in it with Brandon Allen.
They were over 500. Well, no, not Brandon Allen. It was old boy from Washington, Browning.
Oh, Jake Browning.
Yeah, they were over 500.
Hey, my boy Jake Browning. Yeah, man. Folsom High
about
School. That's my boy.
The Pittsburgh Steelers won 10 games with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and
Duck Hodgins.
The Cleveland Browns, they went 4-1 or 5-1 with Joe Flacco. Those are well-built teams. They're balanced teams. They have talent all over. Baltimore cannot win without Lamar Jackson.
It's not happening.
No.
Funny enough, Cooper Rush was that guy in Dallas where when Dak got injured, he won games for Dallas because Dallas was a well-built team. They had a great defense. They had a good running game. So they had CeeDee Lamb, so they were still in the running for a lot of games. But in the end, Dak Prescott not being there is what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Who's buffering a bit?
I think it's talking about us.
A couple of people were, but they say it's fine now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Looks like it's okay now.
Okay.
That might have been a YouTube thing. I'm not sure. But all right. Moving on to the Panthers. First, before we get to the Panthers, hit that like button. All right. We got 75 people in here. All right. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Also, go over to LBHTShow.com. All right. If you like what we're wearing right here, get some LBHT merch. You like what B's wearing. All that is on the site. I actually need to add a couple more things on there as well. You can catch our latest episodes right there from our website. Also, sign up for our newsletter. You have not missed the newsletter. It's not out yet. I know I've been saying this for 3 weeks now. It should have been out. It's coming out. Just sign up. All right. Don't worry about it. All right. Don't worry about it. It says we're going in and out. That's what Game Too Easy says. That's got to be on YouTube. Sir. The audio. I don't know. Is it going out for everybody? Is it going out for everybody, or is it me or what? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
on our side, I
three
can't.
Of us?
Yeah. Let me see. Let us know in the chat, because I can't see anything on my side. But if it's all of us, that might just
because
be the side, man.
Big Cuss says we're good.
We're good? Okay.
Yeah.
We're good. Killer says his data is still the same size. He don't lose any weight at all. Who you talking about?
77.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyway, LBHTShow.com. Go check it out. Sign up for our newsletter. It costs you nothing. All right. And you get everything back from it. All right. Also, patreon.com/LBHT Show. That's where you can find us after this show. On the overtime show, we're going to be talking some Madden. That's how the whole Saquon Barkley conversation, we're going to be talking Madden on the overtime show. He is on the Madden cover. All right. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the demise of the UFC, because that's coming. Patreon.com/LBHT Show. That's how you do it. Wait, did Ferris leave?
Ferris just dropped out, looks like.
Oh,
Andy's
boy.
back.
Oh, boy. Okay.
There he is.
Ferris is back.
What's going on, Ferris?
Welcome back.
Just
All right. Panthers, B.
Yes, sir.
I hear Bryce Young is looking pretty good in practice.
Listen. I'm going to repeat what I say every single year around this time. I don't care what happens in OTAs and practices and all that kind of stuff, but Bryce Young looking pretty good in practice. All right. Now, Bryce Young, no, but Bryce Young showed this at the end of last season, which is why, you can lend more credence to it, right? He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league over the second half of the season. He performed like a top 5 quarterback in a lot of metrics. Now, you watch him play, because the numbers weren't eye popping. They had a few games where they put up, a good number of points. But if you watched him play, I mean, the accuracy that he showed over the second half of the season was unreal. You had some guys who were working against that. We'll say we're not going to name any names, but there were some people who were working against Bryce and his redemption arc.
Xavier Legette.
We weren't going to say any names, but Xavier Legette, David, even Jonathan while he was still here, Deontay while he was here. A lot of guys were working against it. David Moore.
Oh.
Who they brought back for some reason. But no, Bryce, I think I don't know what it was. I don't know if you want to give credit to Dave Canales, if you want to give credit strictly to Bryce himself. Something clicked when he sat out those 5 weeks. It was an unprecedented turnaround. He looked like, welcome back, he looked like one of the worst picks of all time. That's not an exaggeration, considering what they gave up to move up to number 1 to get him.
It was bad.
And how he looked over the first year and few games of his career. He looked awful. He looked like he did not belong on the field. Started last season, if you remember, a lot of hype going into last season. Started the year off, first pass intercepted. It was bad. And then, something clicked, and he turned himself around in those 5 weeks that he was sitting on the bench, and he came back on the field looking like Alabama Bryce Young. And he looked like that the rest of the year.
He said something clicked for Bryce Young, and Andy Dalton didn't click his seatbelt. Okay.
Stop.
And next thing you know, Bryce Young is back.
Okay.
We haven't seen Andy Dalton since that day. Since his
him on the sideline,
accident.
He happy.
Everybody's fine, apparently, allegedly.
But and I don't want to make this a Carolina versus Baltimore thing, because I love Lamar. I want them to do right by Lamar. Absolutely. You see what Carolina did when the second that their quarterback showed any kind of life, they used the top 10 pick on a wide receiver. They said, hey, you know what? He's not showing any life. Let's go spend a bunch of money on the O-line and see if we can keep him upright. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They said, hey, let's get him that top 10 wide receiver. Let's get him another wide receiver later in the draft, even though we drafted a first-round wide receiver last year, and we got a pretty decent undrafted free agent at wide receiver. Right? Then they said, hey, Chuba Hubbard had a breakout season. Even though we just drafted a running back in the second round, let's go sign another 1,000-yard rusher to be the backup in Carolina, and Rico Dowdle. They said, hey, we had the worst defense of all time. Let's make sure we support Bryce Young. Right? And by the way, in case you weren't paying attention, I know it's mostly Ravens fans in here, and you're not going to be following closely what Carolina did. They still addressed their defense in a major way. They revamped their D-line completely in free agency in the draft. They went out and they got Trayvon Moehrig at safety. Now, at corner, they still have some holes there, but you can't do everything at once. But they brought back J.C. Horn, they brought back Michael Jackson, and they look like they're going to be much improved on that side of the ball, following free agency and the draft. So just because you're putting offense first and making that a priority doesn't mean that the defense has to or will suffer.
Also, too, like you said, they revamped the defensive line. A great cornerback is actually a great defensive line. Means you don't have to cover that long.
Yeah. If they don't have any great corners though, so.
Okay, that's a good point. No. Well, okay, a good cornerback is actually a great defensive line. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Because if the quarterback's running for his life and he'd spit up, cornerbacks don't have to guard that long, so that's it. But yeah, man, Bryce Young and the team. Because speaking of, there's also, you guys have another gem on your team, and that is Derrick Brown. Mm-hmm. You supported Bryce Young. And then in the same event, decided to support Derrick Brown, your other. Could you say, Brodny, Derrick Brown is probably either your best player or your second best player?
Yeah, I think there's I don't think there's any question right now that he's the best player
Derrick
on the
Brown.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best player on your team,
if Bryce keeps playing the way he did the second half of the season,
then it's going to be
it'll
him. Yes.
Bryce. But as of right now, it's
Derek Brown.
Yeah.
So basically your two stars, you were like, you know what? Let's give him some help. And that's what you guys did. And
to your point, the last time Carolina was really good, obviously 2015, they had the 15-1 season. Cam dragged that garbage offense to the Super Bowl. They didn't have great corners on that team either. Josh Norman was on that team, and he had a great season, but he had a great season because they could get after the quarterback. Josh Norman was not a great corner himself, but they rushed the quarterback and they put quarterbacks in bad positions or positions to make bad decisions, and he excelled at taking advantage of that. But he himself was not a great corner, when he went to New York.
He never went to New York,
didn't he? Or was it? No, he went to
Washington.
Washington, yeah.
Washington, yeah.
I forget because the NFC East keeps plucking terrible GMs out of Carolina.
They're
you got Gettleman.
We got Bradbury.
Bradbury, yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
But exactly. And then that team, that 15-1 team, you guys knew the middle of the field was a no-go with Davis and Kuechly. Just weren't going to do it. So most cornerbacks were like, I'm going to go wide. So they always went wide. And then, when they're looking at wide, I don't know who your defensive line was. I know it was Coney Ealy. Was it someone? I don't know.
In the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl year, they did have Coney Ealy.
Yeah, Star
Lutulele. He played his heart out.
Star Lutulele.
And Kawan Short.
Short, yes.
Coney played his heart out in that Super Bowl, and they lost. And he said, "You know what? I'm out. I'm out of this trying thing." Then Cam saying he did fine with the Bills. I'm not saying he's a bad corner. I'm not saying that. He was just never the corner that he looked like that year in Carolina. Because that year in Carolina, people started talking about best corner in the league. He's a lockdown corner and all this stuff. He was never that. Even that season, he wasn't that. Yeah. He got beat quite a bit that year. But they were able to cover
the scheme fit because Ron Rivera, they ran a lot of cover threes. He was a zone corner. You know what I mean? He was kind of like shot of a blast from the past. He was like Altron Werner. He was like the perfect cover Tampa 2 cornerback where they did a lot of flat zones. It was he was great in Tampa, and then Altron Werner left Tampa and left that scheme. And what happened to Altron Werner?
He living life, man. He's fine.
He's fine. He's fine now.
Jared Allen. That would have been a nice little story. Jared Allen been able to finish out his career with a Super Bowl in Carolina, but it wasn't to be.
Now, so going back to wide receivers, right? There's another secret weapon that you guys picked up, Hunter Renfrow. Now, I didn't know this. I know he didn't play last year, but they said he was sick. I didn't know he was out with some.
Like an autoimmune disease, I believe it was, and so he sat out last year. He's back now, so it's great news that he's healthy and is able to resume his.
He was. I think he was like a financial analyst last year.
Yeah,
he worked.
He
but
ran
he was
his
productive.
40
He was productive
a few times in Clemson, and he said, "I better pay attention to class." But it worked out for him in the NFL, so that's great.
Hey, shout out to Sutton's in the house, man, from Purple Rain Podcast. Shout out to y'all, man. Sutton and Alex. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hunter Renfrow, though, do you think he's still young. You think he could be productive for you?
I think so. I think it's gonna be a little tough to make the roster, which sounds ridiculous in Carolina. But you got Adam Thielen, he's a lock. Xavier Leggett's a lock. Obviously, McMillan's a lock. The way it's been going, Jimmy Horn sounds like
Jalen
a lock.
Coker. Jimmy Horn, yeah. I forgot your guy.
So it's going to be maybe between him and David Moore, and
I think he's going to beat David Moore.
Guys.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think if he's back to his form from when he played for the Raiders, then he should be on the roster, no question, right? But I haven't seen him, so I don't know for sure. But if they can get him back anywhere near what he was, before he had to sit out, that's a great pickup for Carolina.
I mean, if he can get back to third,
advanced age,
yeah. If he can get back to third and Renfrow, then you guys are good, man.
Yeah.
You create a safety blanket. You create a safety blanket for Bryce. And
Coker. We said Jalen Coker because
yeah.
Jalen Coker, he looked pretty good last year. He's going to get a lot more opportunities this year. It's got to shake out in training camp and preseason. Jimmy Horn, he impressed a lot of people, but it was at rookie camp. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him. He looked like a tremendous playmaker at Colorado, but it was at rookie camp, right? So you got to see what he can do when that formidable Carolina secondary shows up in training camp. And then, more importantly, what he does against other teams in the preseason, so you can kind of see where it shakes out, Yeah. Would y'all take Leggett over Bate? I would take Rashad Bateman over Xavier Leggett in a heartbeat right now. And that's not and listen, that's not to say that I think Xavier's doomed or anything. But it was
he had a bad rookie year.
And I actually wanted to upload a couple of graphics, but maybe we'll do a video or talk about it next week. There was a on the site Wide Left that Arif Hassan runs, or he's part of. They did one of the guys did so it's a political site and a sports site. And he did a analysis.
I was thinking of Florida State's Wide Left.
Well, yeah, no, I mean it's wide left, but also because he's super left. But they did an analysis of the top 13 rookie wide receivers, right, from last year, and they kind of graded them in a lot of different areas. Xavier Leggett graded very, very 13? Well. No, he was like 11th or 10th overall. But he graded very well in athleticism because he's fast, he's strong, he's a big guy and all that. The route running and hands grades were abysmal.
13.
Abysmal. Like they said they had one grade. It was for open catching, like catching the ball when you're open. And my man had a 13. God, no. Now, I want you to guess out of how many. His grade was 13. How many do you think? Well, 13 out of what?
You said the top 13 receivers, correct?
Well, no, but I'm saying his grade for catching the ball when he's open. His grade was 13. So they graded him in a bunch of different categories. So his grade in open catching was 13.
100.
It's out of 100.
Was it out of 100? Out of 100?
I don't know how you could possibly grade 13 out of 100 for catching the ball when you're
wide open. Oh my God.
So I'm not super high on Xavier right now. I'm hoping for the best. I'm really, really pulling for him. But if you're going to say, hey, I'll give you Rashad Bateman, you give us Xavier Leggett, you can have him.
Look, when you guys are low, you are low. Who was the guy that scored a 0 on one of those his performances?
Zavala got a 0.0 from PFF for.
Chandler Zavala, you're your guard. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God.
He got a 0 in one game.
Bro, you know what's funny? That's crazy about. Yeah, you know what's crazy about Chandler? He was like the second best guard in that draft. People were like, yeah, he's very good.
Oh, Panthers got a steal in the 6th round.
Yeah, they got a steal.
But to their credit, they immediately went and corrected that.
Yeah.
But that's the point. That's the point we make, right? Because it's like, hey, he had a bad game. He has potential. Maybe there's some things he can clean up, and he could still end up being a good guard. But they're not taking the risk, right? Like they got to shore that up right now.
You got the email?
I did not get the email. Hold on. But yeah, the point is you can let guys develop while. Okay, I see. I'll put that in there. Thank you. You develop guys while you're still competing. That's the whole point of it. So and shout out to Sutton. I see his comment in the chat. He said, remember when he said we have our own Brandon Ayuk at home. Listen, man. Look, you had your purple shades on. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like everybody gets things wrong, Where's I going with it? Yeah, but Hunter Renfrow, I think, yes, if he's healthy, can be very productive for your team. And I think what they're doing there is they're making sure they have a competitive wide receiver room So, there's no more dropsies like you had last year because he like you said, I don't want to harp on Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
But he cost you at least 2 games.
Yeah.
Probably 3.
It wasn't,
and those 3 games win you the division.
Yeah, it wasn't fantastic with Xavier. Hoping that he bounces
Whoa,
back.
3 of those games would have won them the division. Oh wow, y'all already had a good season last year like that.
No, it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have won him the division last year. I can't remember. I think Tampa was over 10 wins, but
okay.
The point being that it would have been a major swing in their season.
Yeah, and you know what? No lie. Out of the NFC East, I love the NFC South because every year. You don't know what the hell you're going to get. You don't know what the hell you're going to get, man. You don't know what you're going to get. I remember one year, they were like, oh, the Saints are going to come in and they're going to, run the division someone was talking about how like they were going to run the division for the next 10 years because they had Drew Brees. Right? They're like, oh, Drew Brees, yeah.
And shout out to Andrew for the $5 donation. Says, what's up? Late for the show. Hey, man, whenever you show up, you are right on time. Appreciate you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
I remember Carolina won with 7-8-1. I'm like, how do you even win that division like that? Like, you got to draw.
Well, listen,
you got to draw. Like what?
Listen. I'm glad you enjoyed it, but that's over now.
Yeah, I love it. I love the NFC East, man. I love the NFC South. It's I remember one year. It was like apparently the Falcons were supposed to win one year for the Falcons were.
Yeah.
And then they go to 6-10, and like I think Tampa wins it. You're like, oh, how did Tampa win it? What the hell? Yeah, this division's awesome. Yeah. I love this division.
Like you can crap on the division, call it the worst division in the league all you want, and that's true. It's absolutely true. But you know what? Every one of those teams has been to the Super Bowl in like the last decade.
That's true. And 3 of them and 2 of them have won it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killer said we should do a collab with Pro Brain Podcast. We have done a collab. What was with Sutton? Sutton came on. We got to bring you back on, Sutton, and Alex. Those are our guys, man. Like they're always welcome.
So I just got a shout out from Derrick Henry for his video the other day.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Also, too, you know what I love about this the NFC South though too is it's one of the divisions no one really talks about the rivalries, right? People talk about Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Giants. They hate each other. Like old school fashion Southern hatred. Like if you're a Falcons fan, don't even go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Don't even show up. And if you're a Saints fan, don't go to Atlanta. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they both hate Carolina. You know what I mean? And Carolina hates both of them. And Tampa Bay's right there and all 3 of them hate Tampa. It's good old fashioned Southern hate. I love it, man. Underrated rivalries, man. Underrated. Yo, Falcons fans and Saints fans.
Underrated because they suck right now. But
there gotta be some stakes. There's gotta be some high stakes.
They were, when Ryan and Drew were kind of when they were kind of good. It was good, but they don't get the mainstream hoopla. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's up, D Weezy? Is that NFC South the most competitive division in the league? That's facts right there.
It's true.
It's low level competition.
Yeah, but you don't know who's going to win. You don't know. In the NFC East, it was for the past 10 years. It was 2 teams. It was either the Cowboys going to win it or the Eagles going to win it. In the NFC South, you don't know what the hell you're going to get.
No,
you don't know what the hell you're going to get.
No idea. Like we're sitting here and Carolina's losing, and until like week 8, we're like, man, if they would just
they win 2 games,
they still got a chance to win the division.
And that's what made it fun to watch because like you're like, okay, Disney win 2 more because you're not counting the one that they're about to play. They're playing the Chiefs. They're not gonna win this one, and then you're watching the game like, they can win this, right? And then they're like, oh, okay. They're about to play the Eagles, like, okay, not and this one, but next one, like, they're gonna beat the Eagles, and then
And here's in some of the games, some of the crazy shit in the NFL happens in these games, man. Like Desmond Ridder falling and throwing it like this, and then you have that shootout with Carolina and Atlanta just randomly, like week 9. You're like, wait, why is PJ Walker got 5 touchdowns? What's going on?
And Pay the Bill says, what are they competing for? Views? Shut up, Canada.
Yeah, no. You know what they're competing now? They're competing now for the greatest word: self-respect and pride. Shout out to the NFC South.
Why don't you post about the Argonauts?
We only have about 2 more years to make fun of Canada before it gets flipped around. So I mean, I guess get the jokes out.
We got to get it all in.
Hey man, come on, why not the CFL? Come on,
Their prime minister came out. What was it yesterday? And said we're cooked.
Talk to me about your Grey Cup. Pay the bills. Don't talk about my NFC South.
Grey Cup's pretty cool. Shout out to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's my squad. It's my squad right there. Only because Rob's from Winnipeg, I became a fan.
All right. We got about 50 people in the chat.
Kurt didn't become so trash. He's
always trash.
Yeah. He's always been. He's
you know what? And you know what, man? You got young quarterback in Atlanta, young young Carolina.
Young
Blake's not
that
New
young. Orleans.
Oh,
Tyler Shuck, and old boy from Spencer Rattler, both of them.
Rattler,
those young bucks who are married with three kids and a mortgage.
Fairly young quarterback in Tampa too.
Exactly. Baker's not even 30. He's 20.
I'm really happy for Baker, man.
Resurrection.
He turned things around.
Yeah. So man, I can't. You know what? I'm gonna watch some NFC South games this year. Just like every week. What's the NFC South matchup this year? I'll watch it because either you get a shootout, and PJ Walker got 5 touchdowns. He looks like the greatest thing in the world, and then the following week, it's 14-7.
You're just like, PJ, just do what you did last week. How have you forgotten?
Why? What are you doing? Like, come on, PJ. He's like, I only had 1 week. I'm sorry, I can't.
That's it. I'm good.
I unleashed the clip.
All right, Joe. Let's. All right, we're about an hour and a half into this. We still got court of public opinion. We got NBA.
Oh, that's true.
I can't believe I come here for the xenophobic behavior.
hey man, D-Weezy correct. Canada can't even win the Stanley Cup. Let's not talk about football, Murder Peg.
I told you, pay the bills. We only have about a year or two before we can't joke on y'all anymore. Y'all the jokes will be coming our way, so we got to get it out now. I'm
still gonna be joking because I'm gonna move to Canada.
Yeah. All right, y'all, man. Look, hit that like button if you're new here. Hit the subscribe button. All right, we're gonna do a quick quarter of public opinion. We're gonna do some NBA, WNBA talk quickly because we're already an hour and a half in. All right, and then we're gonna head over to Patreon to do the overtime show. So go over to patreon.com/LBHT Show. Sign up right now if you're not signed up. As little as $5 a month. If you want to spend more, great. We got some more perks for you at the higher tiers. But as little as $5 will get you access to the overtime show in our Discord channel. And once you're in the Discord channel, you're in. Okay, whether you stay signed up or not, we don't kick anybody out unless you do something to get kicked out. All right. Yes, Urban Rapid Fire. This is what's going to happen for the rest of the show. Let's go. We got core of public opinion. We got to get our animations back too. We're working on core of public opinion though. Real fast one. B, what do we got?
I thought you were leading this one. I didn't actually see the story. Like I heard about it, but I didn't like get the details on it.
My bad. I said
I hate Noah Lyles.
I threw a bad alley-oop, but it's a bad alley-oop. Okay. You know what, Ferris? I'll let you because Ferris will break this down. The quick version, rapid fire. Maybe I should do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
No. Are we talking about? Okay, I got it. No, I think are we talking about the same thing?
His highest setting is musket speed.
I can do it. I can do it. If we're talking about the same story,
just a quick recap of why are we talking about Noah Lyles? The same thing that Cameron was going at him.
I got you right now. Quick fire. A couple years ago, Noah Lyles complained about Adidas not giving him a shoe because he's a world champion. And he's like, I'm a world champion. You should give me a shoe. Why the hell does Anthony Edwards have a shoe and he's done nothing with his career? Now, fast forward a couple years, he's still complaining that he didn't get a shoe. And guess what? Cameron then finally told him the truth. No offense, bro. Nobody cares about track and field in the world like that until the Olympics, and that's it. That's why you don't got a shoe. You ain't like that. Track ain't like that in America. Track ain't really like that around the world. Yeah, you have your little good moments for the first couple months after the Olympics with the track stars, but then that's it. You do an interview here, you do an interview there, but the next year, no one cares. Unfortunately, that's the game, bro. Stop complaining about it. It is what it is. I know you're mad that you don't get your money from Adidas like that, but guess what? You go learn how to run a slant. Then you can get that money. But you know what? You just run in a circle or in a straight line, and you ain't that famous. You sell more shoes for NBA players because the shoe is a part of the ambiance, the aura of the basketball player. Unfortunately for you, you're wearing track shoes. You can't wear track shoes. Track shoes are built different. They have spikes in them. No one's gonna buy your shoe and you know what? No one likes you. No one likes you.
That's the other part.
That's the main thing right there.
That's it.
Yeah,
you're not Usain Bolt. No one. Yeah, you're not likable, dog. You're not likable, and that's your fault. Is it because Is it because you're a bad person? No, I don't think you're a bad person. You just no one. You just don't like you, man. You're just annoying. You're a little corny. There it is. Rapid fire.
He's okay. So well done, Ferris. Thank you. So the problem with him, and I think he thought he was going to be more remarkable this way if he says some edgy things, if he says some hot takey things, he'll trend. And listen, I don't mind the trash talking as long as you back it up and win. Like, he was highly confident in himself. He thought, hey, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna smoke everybody, and all eyes will be on me, and they'll see my I'm backing up my trash talking. Okay, fine, whatever. But you didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't do that.
In the one race he won, I still maintain he lost.
Yeah, it was real close. Yeah, the dude crossed the line
first, but it's a certain
hand.
It's the part of the body that crosses.
The rules are the rules, but winning like that ain't going to get you a shoe deal.
And then jumping out there and losing the next race and then falling down like, oh, I got COVID. Give me
that's to be wheeled off.
What? Yeah. and you were at the club the night before, and listen, I just went out to Philadelphia for the Grand Slam track event. If you don't know what that is, Michael Johnson, former Olympian, the guy who would sprint in gold shoes because he had that kind of I don't want to say Dion aura, but he was a showman. He's put together a series of events for this year. This is the inaugural year. It was 4 events. They did it in Jamaica, Miami, Philadelphia, and the last one's going to be in LA, right? And what they do, they sign up track athletes. They have them compete in 2 race events. So you can sign up, say, for short sprints, and that's 100 meters and 200 meters, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can go for the 200 and 400. Or, if you're a longer distance runner, the 800 and the 1500, or the 1500 and the 3000, right? So it's 2 races per event, and they run on a point system. And whoever finishes with the most points after those 2 races gets $100,000, which is kind of a big deal in track. They don't typically get paid for these meets, right? There's a guy who went to all 3 of the events so far, because to be an official part of it, you have to sign up to be at all 4 events. Kung Fu Kenny Bednarik. He is he's one of the top sprinters in the world. Mm-hmm. He has gone to all 3 events so far. And he's won all 3 events so far. So with 3 weekends, he's made $300,000. And he's got a chance to make it $400,000 at the end of the month in LA. You want your money? Go run for your money, Noah. Right?
Also,
you're not out here racing Kenny. You talking.
And yeah, man. Kenny too. Fortunately, Kenny was a part of that debacle for that 100 meter with him and Fred Kerr,
Listen,
and
Noah.
We
remember that. We remember. Yeah, remember he's a Grand Slam champion 3 times over.
That's true. That's true. But that's the thing. He resurrected himself. He didn't cry and moan. He went out. It's been 25 years. The Americans can't win that event. But Kung Fu Kenny said, "I'm gonna resurrect my image and I'm gonna win." That's what he did. And the reason we lost that one, we didn't really win it, is because they had to shuffle because Noah Lyles messed up in the Olympics, so they had to reshuffle the team. And that team that they sent out hadn't raced together because they already had a set team, but Noah either got COVID or didn't get COVID. We don't know. Honestly, at this point, he said he did, but the way he was acting, it didn't look like he did, and he used it as an excuse. So he kind of messed up the team. And you know what? You gotta also be cool and iconic. Like Usain Bolt. You remember that Usain Bolt one where he turns to the left, and that famous photo of that, whoever that photographer is, that great photo of him smiling, and he's just like jogging, like all happy. And his opponents are head down, serious face, because they're trying to win, and they are grueling themselves to win, and they couldn't beat him. People were cheating, and they still couldn't beat him. You ain't that dude, bro.
And he's got the iconic pose and everything. And he was a dominant Olympian for his entire run.
And
he won the double.
For a track star to get the kind of deal that he's looking for, you have to be an all-time great, and you're not an all-time great. Of course, you're fast. Obviously, you're fast. Man. You won a couple gold medals, but that's not good enough to compare yourself to Edwards. To basketball players. These guys are the best of the best, right? And they play 82 games a year. They're way more marketable than you are. Cam said it all on his on It Is What It Is. We only watch you once every 4 years, and the last time you were out there, you didn't impress.
It's a great time for a few weeks, but then we don't care for 4 years.
Yeah. Also, I also buying track shoes.
Yeah, and the problem is also I think this is big in the American Olympians in certain sports, especially track, where they win an event and they come to America, and their local town shouts you out, and you're like, oh, welcome back, and you're amazing and all that stuff. But then that's it. The guy who beat him in the 200 meter, I think, Letesi Tibago, I think I don't know. He's Botswana. He's from Botswana. He showed up, and they shut down the country. Yeah. And they said, we're going to put you in a car, and you're going to go around the circle at our national stadium, and we're going to cheer for you. Because other countries, the Olympics mean a little bit more to them than us. That's just the fact.
Athletes do, because
the individual athlete. Yes,
we win so many medals. It's who cares, right? But there was the women's sprint. I forget the name of the woman who actually won it, but she won the first medal in her country's history. That's a huge thing. Here, we win so many medals every single Olympics. Nobody cares about you in your archery.
You have to do.
Go back to North Dakota. All right.
Yeah. All right, so that's it, man. Like, that's an open and shut case. No allows, man. This case is dismissed. You get nothing from the courts.
Shut
okay?
up.
You
get
Julian Alford from St. Lucia.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you get nothing, Noah. Like, I mean, go find other ways to make your money, man. Like, you're not getting a shoe deal. You're not Ant-Man. Okay, you can't dunk like Ant-Man, and we care more about dunking than how fast you can run a 100 meter or 200 meter.
And you ain't the fastest.
You're not the fastest.
Like,
you can't
come close to breaking Usain Bolt's record. So I don't want to hear you talk.
Oh. Same thing with Flojo.
All right. Let's move on. Was some real quick, man. Rapid fire. First, NBA Finals. Okay. RIP to the Knicks. Sorry. All right. Who you guys got in the finals?
Thunder in 5.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You agree with that? In 5?
Yeah, no, because I am a hater for the Pacers, always and forever. But I even let's say the Knicks made the final, I would still think the Thunder would win. Yeah. I would be rooting for the Knicks. Well, in 5, no, because here's the thing too. The Knicks showed you how to beat, not beat the Pacers, but like there are ways where the Pacers, you just don't you slow the game down, you don't commit turnovers, and the Thunder can do that, and they do it very well.
Yes.
And that, and here's the two about the Thunder is they can mix and match. The Knicks couldn't mix and match like what the Pacers did. The Pacers could go 2 bigs, or they could take both bigs off and go 5 shooters. They could do that. Same thing with the Thunder. They could do both bigs and Hartenstein and Chet and dominate the boards, slow the game down, and don't let them go on the fast break. The Knicks really were lazy on their defense because they would make a basket and they'd be like, "Ooh, we made a basket." And then they would inbound then the Pacers would inbound the ball. They would throw to Tyrese right away. Then Tyrese would sling it right away to Pascal Siakam. Like right away. And he'd be like, "Oh, he's taking a layup." But I think the Thunder are more defensively disciplined. They know that they're going to have a man back, like Chet, Isaiah, you name it, J-Dub or the other, or J Will. It depends on who they're going to stop that. You dominate the boards, slow the game down, don't turn over the ball. That's how you beat the Pacers. It's simple. Don't turn over the ball, dominate the boards. You got it. The Knicks couldn't do that. They averaged 20 turnovers a game against Indiana. Indiana, Jose, in that game, this is how you know they lost. The Knicks had 48 points off of turnovers. The Thunder, the Pacers had 122 points off of turnovers the entire series. You had 48 points off of turnovers the entire series, and your opponent had 122 points off of turnovers. The Thunder are not that lazy with the ball. The Knicks would just flick it. The Thunder are not going to do that. Thunder are going to keep it tight. And you know what? And he's in the two. Are they going to allow Aaron Naismith and Andrew Nembhard to be able to guard SGA the way they guarded Jalen Brunson? Brunson likes initiating contact. They like being physical. So they allowed the physicality. They allowed both people to hit each other, and they were both physical. And you know what? And, in that last game, Game 6, Andrew Nembhard, he kind of bottled up Jalen Brunson. Are they going to be allowed to do that to SGA? I don't think they are.
Well, and then the other thing for Indiana, your two best players, Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton, they don't show up every game.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Halliburton, what was it, Game 5, I think it was, had 8 points. He had 7 shot attempts for absolutely no reason other than he just didn't do it. He just wasn't.
Mikal Bridges shut him down.
Enough.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges didn't shut him down. He took 7 shots. Ferris. He took 7 shots. I'm not saying that he played poorly against him. I'm not saying that at all. But you didn't shut somebody down who took 7 shots. He shut himself down.
Well, you know what if it was because of that he only took 7 shots?
No. That what I'm saying is that's a decision you make. If you're that guy, also, you're taking the shots. I think the biggest issue is Pascal Siakam. The Reggie Miller literally said it on air. He's good every other game. Mm-hmm. So if you survive the Pascal Siakam game, which I think the Thunder can, Thunder are gonna win. Yeah. You let Pascal score 40 in game. Let's say Game 1, Pascal plays like doo-doo, and then Game 2 he drops 40. Oh, you drop 40, but we still won by 10. Mm-hmm. Then Game 3, he doesn't play good.
Yeah, I think Amir El-Hassan from the LBHT Show, I mean, he said it best. He said, look, the Pacers can do it all. They got everything. The Thunder just do it better. Like, everything you say the Pacers got, the Thunder had that, but just better. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's true, man. Like, the Pacers are deep, so the Thunder. They're just better, and they play better defense.
No, right there, Jose. Right there.
Yeah.
The Pacers are not that good defensively. Just that the Knicks gave them turnovers. The Knicks got buckets on them.
Well, they forced the turnovers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Some of those forced were. It was a lot of lazy passing and Jalen really messed up. But Miles Turner couldn't guard Karl Anthony Towns. Neither did Thomas Bryant. Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns put those two guys in hell. That's why Tony Bradley had to play. And that's because Thomas Bryant couldn't stop Mitchell Robinson. But guess what? If you can't stop Karl or Mitchell Robinson, you for sure ain't gonna stop Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. 3 bigs that they can throw at you. Plus Tony Bradley's still injured. He's still injured.
But
so we'll see.
I think this is gonna be a fun series. I don't think it's gonna go 5. I think it'll go 6. But I got the Thunder. And I'm gonna enjoy it.
I think it's gonna go 5, but it's not gonna be like blowouts like this. It's gonna be a tight 5. It's gonna be great games, but it's gonna go 5 because SGA is the ultimate X factor. When you need a bucket at the end of the game, he can pull up from everything. The thing is with the Knicks and Mikal Bridges, they didn't take Tyrese Halliburton's form for their advantage. He has a really funky form. He can't pull up, so if you all up on him, he needs to create more space and try to gather. SGA can just like pull up and bang. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? That form. All right,
real quick, rapid fire. Give us a WNBA wrap up so far.
It's been a great season so far. Minnesota and the Liberty both undefeated. They were in the title game last year. They're probably going to be in the title game this year again if everything goes to fruition. Big thing, those two teams. Continuity. It's the same team, another year under their belt, another seasoning. New York did add a French sharpshooter and starting point guard for the French national team, Marine Johannes. She's a great option off the bench. Either one day she'll give you 30 and you don't even know it. And she's going to be like, they're both undefeated. They just beat Connecticut, shout out to you, Reg, 100-52. So they beat them by 48. So
second largest margin of victory in history of the league.
Exactly.
Do you think, yes or no, Nafisa Collier MVP this year?
I think it's gonna happen. She was close last year. She was Defensive Player of the Year last year. And you know what? She's elevating her game year in and year out. And I think having the summer of just straight up development in 3-on-3, which then shows she can be a better one-on-one scorer. Because that's what 3-on-3 is. It's developing your one-on-one game, and I think she's really improved that. Rookie of the Year. People think it's gonna be Paige, but I may think it's still gonna be Paige. But those the two girls in DC, Sonia Citron and Kiki Area Finn, they're balling out. They're one of the surprises, I think, because Washington got rid of Ariel, got rid of all their vets, and they drafted the three rookies. And I know they're under 500. They're only 3-5. They're 3-5, but they are in almost every game. They fight. They scratch the goal. I think the reason Paige may win it is because the votes are going to be split between the two Washington Mystics players, maybe. But the biggest surprise, though, is Atlanta, 5-2. They hired Carl Mesco, the head coach out of Florida Gulf Coast. He can flat out coach. A lot of people have been good. I've been a big fan of them for the past couple years because after they traded for Alicia Gray from Dallas, they have the best guard tandem in the entire WNBA. Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard will get you 30 any given day, any given time, or they'll both give you 30 if you do not watch out. Plus, they also have size in the middle. Brittany Griner, as well as Brianna Jones. So they have size. Also, they're very good spread you out. But, Carl Meshko does like threes, but he's not obsessed with threes like what's going on in LA, which is a kind of a hellstorm because Lynn Roberts, former University of Utah head coach, she's in love with the three, but unfortunately, her game plan does not fit one of their star players, and Rickea Jackson, their star rookie. Their other star rookie still on the mend. Her ACL soon. Shout out to Cameron Brink. So also too, it's trouble in paradise too, because Rickea Jackson may not be there for long. Also another trouble in paradise. Seattle is being investigated again for misconduct by the WNBA PA. They said it's because one of their coaches hurled profanity at a player. I don't think it's just your regular profanity. Because if it was just regular profanity, like, oh, you stink, or what the bleep is wrong with you, or F word this, F word that, that's it's coaching. What does it matter with you? But I think it's not just that regular profanity to elicit an investigation. So there's also another big surprise. The worst team in the WNBA ain't the expansion team. The Golden State Valkyries, they are 2-4, but they're not the worst team. Connecticut and Dallas are, which makes sense because a lot of new pieces, they're still gelling, and new head coaches. But Golden State, watch out. Watch out. There it is.
All right. There you go. That was a great wrap up. Good job. Submitted questions. I believe we have 2 submitted questions, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm pulling those up right now. My bad. I should have had them.
While B's pulling it up, Ferris, let the people know where they can find you.
You guys can find me on the Let's Get Ready networks on our entertainment channel. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, our Rewatchers Council series is. The Thursday and the Friday is our Buffy verse. We do Buffy on Thursday, Angel on Friday, and then on Saturday we do the MCU. We're doing a rewatch of the entire MCU. We started off from Iron Man, and we're all up to Avengers. So this week we'll be doing the Avengers, so watch out for that. And then on our sports channel, Fridays, 3 o'clock Pacific, Good Friends, Better Rivals, me and Caleb talk NFC East. And then we show up on other stuff. We have, if you're a big hockey people, if anybody here hockey, our playoff beard show is going on during the hockey playoffs. We just did a show about previewing the Stanley Cup yesterday. So watch out for that.
Pay the bills. That's for you. So we have the submitted questions. First one from AJC. He says, with one of the best rosters in the NFL, including the most dynamic quarterback and one of the most punishing running backs, what will Harbaugh do or fail to do to prematurely end our playoffs this season? Last year, not using Ben Cleveland in the early season games, when he may have been a better option than who we had at guard, could possibly have dropped our eventual playoff seeding. Maybe if we played the Bills at home instead of Buffalo, we win that game. So what do you think Harbaugh will do or fail to do to screw the Baltimore Ravens in 2025?
I don't think we have one of the best rosters in the league. Right? I know, like, it was written, couple articles or something like that. But I don't think we have one of the best rosters in the league. I don't think it's one of the worst rosters, but I think it's kind of middle of the pack. I think, I think it's going to be similar to the last few seasons, right? As long as we have Lamar Jackson, he's going to play at an MVP level. Lamar Jackson he stays elevating his game, right? And I don't think he's reached his peak yet. And I think he's going to have just as good of a year last year, as last year. I think Derrick Henry is going to have another great year. And for most of the season, we're going to look like a dominant team, right? The problem is when we get to the playoffs. And I think we're not going to look any different in the playoffs because why would we? What has changed for us to look different? Do you think Harbaugh is humble enough to self-evaluate and say, I have to do better in these areas? I don't think he is, right? I think he's stubborn and thinks he didn't really do anything wrong. Just the ball didn't go his way. It didn't go their way, right? Hey, if we hold on to the ball there, we could have won it. It's just a couple of things. We don't really change anything. I think that's the mentality, Yeah, game of inches. I don't think he thinks he's done anything wrong. So he hasn't learned any lessons, and I think we're going to lose the same way. EDC hasn't really made any, big changes to the roster. It's the same thing. And we'll lose the same way we lose it. But next offseason, I think that's where you have to have a real conversation as fans. It's time for Harbaugh to go. Really, at that time, it'll be time for EDC to go as well. Like, you have to really have that conversation if, as a fan base, you seriously want to see this team win a Super Bowl. Because if you want to roll back out here in 2026 with the same team, same coaching staff and everything, you don't really want to win.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's going to be more of the same. You're going to see, hey, you know what? What if Keaton Mitchell is 100%, comes back and shows that he is still that playmaker? Then you're going to get to the playoffs and you're going to ask, why did Keaton Mitchell have 3 touches in this game where we scored 17 points and we needed more firepower? Why didn't you give Derrick Henry the ball 25 times when they were struggling to stop Derrick Henry, right? Why are you still giving Mark Andrews more snaps than Isaiah Likely? Why wasn't DeAndre Hopkins on the field more when we needed a more reliable pass catcher than Zay or Bateman? I think it's going to be those same things, those relying on people that he shouldn't be relying on, and not playing necessarily to the strengths of the roster. Ferris, you have any thoughts on Jonathan Harbaugh?
No, I actually want to shout out somebody though.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Shout out to the Texas Tech women's softball team, making it the first ever College World Series.
That's my bad. I should have vetted that.
A great investment.
Next question.
No, my bad.
I do know you're talking about the pitcher, right?
Yeah, and the Johnny
Oklahoma.
Yeah, man. She $1 million. She went 30-5, 0.8889 ERA. A great investment for them.
I gotta say, listen, outstanding for her, and congratulations to Texas Tech. I kind of feel Noah Lyles on that one. Like, women's college softball player getting $1 million, and I'm begging for interview.
Hey,
nah.
Hey, they play more games than he runs.
Listen, go make something happen,
right?
I know we don't like baseball, man, but college baseball crazy.
Well, it's because they use rocket launchers instead of bats.
That too.
Yeah.
All right. Next question, because we have to get out of here now. This one is from Coach. What are your guys' projected order for the NFC South in terms of season record? I think Carolina wins it. Tampa Bay's in second. And then the big surprise of the season, New Orleans in third, and Atlanta finishes fourth.
Wow. I think Carolina first, Atlanta second, Tampa third, and of course New Orleans is going to be dead last. They might be dead last in the league. They suck.
I think because they want it that way. And I think that's and I agree with Jose. I agree with that.
Manning in New Orleans.
Yeah. You know what?
Don't you do it?
Atlanta.
God damn it.
Carolina. Tampa.
Y'all have a great night. I'm about to hit this outro.
Michael Penix is pretty good.
Is he?
Looking at
Is he?
Well, I think he'll be good.
Is he?
Well, the 2 games he played last year, he looked pretty good. He did lose the overtime game to Jaden. But Atlanta.
Listen, I'm not going to root against Michael Penix. I mean, I am, but like I'm not going to actively root for Michael Penix. He plays for Atlanta.
Okay, all I'll say is this: the Atlanta Carolina games are the games are the deciders. Gotta watch those games. Those are gonna be good.
Don't forget the team that has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin drafted a wide receiver in the first round.
All right, look, we gotta wrap this up. Ferris, appreciate you coming on as always.
You ain't too easy. You about to get blocked, son.
Everybody in chat, listen.
Sir, my Falcons winning. Michael Penix better than Bryce.
Hey man, show faith in your team. Man.
He's a Falcons fan.
We got all kinds of fans in here, man. Fans of other teams. All right, we appreciate y'all. All right, look. Patreon.com/LBHT Show. We can pick this conversation up on the Overtime Show. That's the show for you guys to bring up anything that you want to talk about that we missed on here. We'll have some topics readily available. We'll start out with some Madden talk. We'll talk about the eventual downfall of the UFC. All right. So patreon.com/LBHT Show. Patreon members, get ready. The Overtime Show is starting right now. Everybody else, have a great night. B, are you ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I am also ready.